Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, as I'm starting to approach the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, well, here's my review of Ant-Man. So, yeah, this movie was really, really great. Yeah, yeah, I went to see this in the theater last summer, and yeah, I really did love it. As I've told you guys before, I was actually surprised at how much I loved this movie. I mean, I was not expecting to love this movie as much as I did. Yeah, I mean, just this movie was so great. Yeah, I would definitely say this is right behind the Avengers as the best movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. This one is probably the second best so far. That's how much I really like the movie. Yeah, just a really, really great movie. It was just, yeah, entertaining. It had good humor in it. Had great scenes in it. Yeah, I mean, the struggle that Scott goes through in this movie, I think is actually a pretty good struggle. And yeah, I actually think that this is so far the best like origin story or introduction of a character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the main character. Yeah, I think this is one is just done the best out of every every hero introduction into the MCU. I mean, I just feel like this is done just as good as it can get. That so far, I mean, just it's done really, really well. Yeah, and the movie has a pretty good cast. Has Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Corey Stoll, Michael Douglas. Yeah, there's not really that many people from the previous films returning. I mean, you have like a few recurring in roles and small cameos. I think the biggest this recurring role in this movie is Falcon. Yeah, and the small duel he has with Ant-Man in the movie. I mean, yeah, it's done. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest recurring role in this movie from the MCU. Yeah, but yeah, the movie is just done so well. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I just really did love this movie, and yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a great film. Um, yeah, I would give this movie 3.75 stars out of 4. Like I said, just it was done so great, and yeah, just it's the best introduction for a superhero into the MCU, and yeah, yeah, I've heard some people place this in like top 3 Marvel movies of all time, and yeah, rightfully so. I mean, yeah, I would definitely place this probably in top 3 also. I mean, as I've said, I would definitely say it's the second best movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. I mean, just yeah, it is a great film. Yeah, I mean, I just can't say that enough. I mean, I really, really did love this movie. Yeah, 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 just yeah, it's just a great movie, and I can't say that enough. I mean, I really did love this movie, and yeah, just done really well. Okay, so yeah, let me just get right into it. Right. So the movie opens up in 1989 as scientist Hank Pym ends up resigning from the Shield after he finds out that they're attempting to replicate his project of Ant-Man of the shrinking technology for his Ant-Man project. It's and yeah, Pym Hank thinks that the technology may be dangerous, and he just says he'll hide it as long as he lives. And then in the present day, it shows Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd. He's just been released from prison, isn't? And yeah, of course he's like an ex-con. Yeah, yeah he's a he has a criminal record as a thief, and it shows that he's had some trouble finding a job. He tries to lie to get hired out of Baskin Robbins, but eventually his boss figures out who he really is and that he lied, and he obviously had to fire him. And Scott is like wanting to change his ways, and he doesn't want to be a he doesn't want to go back to jail, and he really wants to turn his life around. But he ends up moving in with one of his old cellmates, Louise, and some of his other friends that are also like crooks. And they're wanting to try to burglar a house, and yeah, Scott is reluctant to join them. And while that's going on, it turns out that Hank has actually been forced out of his company by his daughter, Hope Van Dyne, and one of his former proteges, Darren Cross. And it turns out that Darren is trying to perfect his own type of Ant-Man project, which he's calling the Yellow Jacket. And it's shown that Scott wants to be back into his daughter Cassie's life, and just he wants to be a part of her life and just try to be the best father that he can. And he shows up at her birthday party unannounced, and then he gets it's just rebuked by his ex-wife Maggie and her fiance detective Paxton. And yeah, and yeah, because yeah, Scott is technically not even supposed to actually see Cassie because he hasn't paid any child support. Right? And Maggie told Scott that once he is able to like get a better lifestyle and pay child support and all, then he would be able to uh, see Cassie. But after Scott calculated all of his payments and stuff, it showed that he still won't be able to see Cassie for over a year. And after that, that's when Scott then agrees to join Lewis and the others in the burglary to try to get some money to actually like help make his payment so he can see Cassie faster. Yeah. Then Scott then broke into a house, and it was pretty cool that like he was able to get a there was a fingerprint lock. He was able to actually he, he take a fingerprint from the actual owner of the house, which was not known at the time. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, he eventually cracked a safe, and instead of any money or jewels, all he found was the Ant-Man suit, which he thought was just an old motorcycle suit. Then he decided to take it home, and as he was home, he then put on the suit, and then yeah, he ended up shrinking himself down to the size of an insect, and yeah, inside the helmet, he was able to hear an anonymous voice, which was later revealed to be Hank himself, actually guiding Scott. And then yeah, Scott went through a lot of shenanigans in the suit, and then he eventually regained composure. And then he tried to return the suit, but he ended up getting caught by the police and being arrested again. And then, as Scott was locked up in jail, then he got a visit from Hank, who was like posing as Scott's lawyer. And Hank was basically just telling Scott whenever he has another chance to take it, if he wants to get out. And yeah. Oh, and I should also say, like, as Scott was actually taking the suit before, it showed like a small radioactive ant actually recording him as like video cameras, and yeah, Hank then eventually told Scott more about it, and yeah, Hank then programmed the ants to bring the suit back to Scott, and yeah, they brought it back into his cell. And yeah, Scott ended up putting the suit back on and yeah, shrinking down, and it helped him break out of his jail cell. And it was later revealed that that Hank actually did manipulate Scott through Lewis into stealing the suit to test him. And Scott then the next morning met at Hope, and it was revealed that Hope was actually the one that called the police to have Scott arrested for taking the suit. Yeah, and it turned out that Hank actually wanted Scott to become the new Ant-Man and try to and steal the yellow jacket from Darren. And then Scott was then shown on Darren's intentions and of what he wants to do. And at one point, Scott actually suggested that they summon the Avengers, and Hank refused to do that. And it's also shown that Hope actually wants to be the Ant-Man herself, but Hank won't let her do it. And it was later revealed it was because he didn't want the same thing that happened to Hope's mother to happen to her. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. And then after then, Hank convinced Scott to become the new Ant-Man then. And Hank and Hope were then trying to train Scott, and they were trying to teach him of when to actually shrink down and become enlarged again. They had him test by trying to leap through a door lock. They went through several attempts, and Scott couldn't do it. And they also taught him how to fight. And Hank also gave Scott some powered discs that will actually help to shrink and enlarge other things. There were red discs to shrink and then blue discs to enlarge. And Hank also showed Scott his different types of radioactive ants. And eventually, Hope is starting to have some resentment towards Hank about her mother's death, and then Hank revealed to Hope that her mother, Janet, was known as the Wasp, and she ended up disappearing in a subatomic realm after she tried to disable a nuclear missile. And Hank also told Scott that if he tries to override his suit's regulator, that the same thing could happen to him. And they tried to send him down to Tony Stark's old warehouse to try to get a device that could aid in their heist, but it turned out that they actually sent him to the Avengers headquarters, and then he comes across Falcon. Ant-Man and Falcon had a brief fight, which was pretty awesome. And it turned out that Scott was able to actually recover the device. And eventually it's shown that Darren has an unveiling ceremony at the Pym Technologies headquarters to unveil the yellow jacket. And then Scott then gathers up his friends along with the swarm of ants and to try to sabotage the servers and plant explosives throughout the building to try to steal the yellow jacket. Again, and then the police are all summoned, and of course Paxton was there along with his partner, and all of them were trying to get things under control. Well, and Scott almost is able to recover the yellow jacket, but then Scott, Hank, and Hope are all captured by Darren. And then he had plans to actually sell both the Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket suits to Hydra, but Scott ends up breaking free. And Scott and Hope try to fight off the Hydra agents, but then one and ends up fleeing with a vial of particles from Darren, and Hank ends up also getting shot. And yeah, they try to flee in a helicopter, but Scott pursues them. And just as the explosives then detonate and destroy the building, and yeah, Hank and Hope are able to escape. And yeah, Scott tried to stop Aaron in the helicopter, but then yeah, Darren is able to don the yellow jacket, and then yeah, of course, and he had the exact same powers as Scott did in the Ant-Man suit. So yeah, the two of them fought, and yeah, they eventually ended up being being trapped in a briefcase and flew right out from the helicopter, and then they landed right into a yard and yeah, then Scott and Darren continued to fight, and then Scott knocked Darren into a bug zapper, and then Paxton then and showed up, and then yeah, Scott showed who he was to Paxton. And yeah, he tried to explain to Paxton what was going on, but before Scott could even tell Paxton anything, Paxton just tased Scott and knocked him out. And yeah, he started to take Scott back to prison, but then they received a call that Darren was then going after Cassie to hold her hostage to lure Scott. And so yeah, they ended up going back to Paxton's house. And yeah, then Scott then shrunk back down and freed himself. And then went after Darren to save Cassie. And yeah, and Darren was starting to hold Cassie hostage, but then Scott then arrived, and the two of them continued to fight. And then Scott used some of his discs to try to enlarge Darren back up, and yeah, he ended up missing, and he actually enlarged one of the ants, and then they were fighting on Cassie's Thomas the Tank Engine train set, and then they ended up enlarging Thomas the Tank Engine. Then eventually Scott then just ended up overriding his regulator, and he knew he had to do that in order to stop Darren. Then he shrunk down to a subatomic size, and then he then penetrated Darren's yellow jacket suit, and then he caused it to just shrink uncontrollably and ended up killing him. And then as a result, Scott ended up disappearing into the subatomic realm. But he's then able to reverse the effects with one of his enlarging discs, and yeah, he was back to himself out of that realm. And then of course he embraced with Cassie. And yeah, after seeing that Scott did survive and return back from the quantum realm, Hank started to wonder if his wife may also still be alive. And Paxton told Scott that he's gonna cover up for Scott to keep him out of prison. And then yeah, later on, then Scott then talked with Lewis again, and she just told Scott that Falcon is looking for him. And then the movie cut to credits, and then yeah, during the credits, then and Hank showed Hope a new Wasp prototype suit that he's made and offered it to her to be Wasp. And yeah, this is now leading up to the next Ant-Man Wasp movie, which is set for release for another couple of years. So yeah, it's leading up to that. And then after the credits, we see Eve, aka Captain America, and Falcon together, and yeah, and they finally have Winter Soldier that are in their custody. And it's shown that they can't contact Tony because of Acres. And then, yeah, Falcon then tells Steve that he knows somebody else who could help him. We know who that is. And yeah, then it just said Ant-Man will return, which he did. So, yeah. Like I said, 3.75 stars out of 4. I mean, I just really, really did love this movie. I mean, it just really surprised me how much I really did like this movie. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I definitely say it is the second best MCU film so far. I mean, I just really did love this movie. And yeah, I would like to see not just Ant-Man, but more of the characters that were in this movie just inter be with the rest of the Avengers. Yeah, maybe we will get that in the next Ant-Man movie. I don't know. I mean, because yeah, Ant-Man does still come in contact with the rest of the Avengers. But yeah, I would like to see like more of these characters, like Hank and Hope. I would like to see them actually like be with the rest of the Avengers also. Yeah, maybe that will be in the next Ant-Man movie. We don't know, but yeah, we'll just see what happens because yeah, since we do see Ant-Man with the rest of the Avengers, yeah, maybe we will get to see more of the other characters in this movie and with the other Avengers. Yeah, we'll just see. But yeah, still, yeah, really, really do love this movie a lot. I mean, yeah, just yeah, great movie here. Alright, so that does for my review of Ant-Man. Alright, and yeah, now, next video will be when I finish up the Marvel Cinematic Universe with my video about Captain America Civil War. I did go to see it, like, I actually went to see it the day before its official release. And yeah, the day after that on May 6th, I did, like, record the video that will where I'll be talking about how I felt about the movie. So yeah, I'll be posting that tomorrow. Or oh yeah, and as I said, I recorded it on May 6th. So yeah, you'll probably see like my hair back to how it was before I had it cut. So yeah, that's gonna be the reason why my hair's like that because I actually recorded it back on May 6th. So yeah, I'll be posting it tomorrow to finish up the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then after that, then I'll jump into the X-Men review. So yeah, stay tuned for those coming up. All right, so yeah, anyway, so yeah, that does it for my review of Ant-Man. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.